Imagine this. You're standing in a dark, cold cell in the Tower of London, shackled, exhausted, sick to your stomach. Somewhere above you, the bell tolls. You're not sure what hour it is anymore. You haven't slept. You haven't eaten. You've been dragged through interrogations, screamed at, threatened. And now, you know what comes next. You're going to die. And not just die. Not quietly. Not cleanly. You're going to be hanged, drawn, and quartered. The worst execution England has ever invented. Your name is Francis Dereham. And once, not that long ago, you were in love. Let's rewind. It's the late 1530s. England is changing fast. Henry VIII has already cut ties with the Catholic Church, divorced wives, beheaded others, and left the country wobbling on the edge of chaos, all in his desperate hunt for a male heir. The king is aging, growing heavier, more paranoid, more bitter. He's already burned through 4 wives. And then he sees her. Catherine Howard. Young, beautiful, barely 17. Everything he no longer is. She's the niece of Thomas Howard, the powerful Duke of Norfolk. And she's glowing with charm, laughter, and youth. To Henry, she's a cure, a symbol of everything fresh and fertile and promising. He marries her in 1540, just weeks after executing Anne of Cleves in a political fallout. But Catherine Howard is not what she seems. Because before she ever wore a crown, before the royal jewels ever touched her skin, she had a secret. A man. You. You met her before all the power and palaces. Back when she was just another young noblewoman, living in the chaotic, gossip-fueled household of her grandmother, the Dowager Duchess of Norfolk. That place was more boarding school than home. Dozens of young women, barely supervised, hormones running wild, and noble sons slipping through the doors after dark. It was in those shadows that you and Catherine became something more. You flirted, laughed, shared stolen kisses behind curtains. She wasn't a queen then. She wasn't even expected to be one. She was just Catherine, bold, clever, and curious. The two of you exchanged gifts, letters, vows. You called each other husband and wife in jest, or maybe not in jest. That part is still debated. But one thing is certain, what you had was known. People in the household whispered. Servants saw. Her friends teased her. And when you left the house, it wasn't a breakup. It was a pause. You thought you'd see her again. You never imagined the next time would be in the Tower of London. Because you see, Catherine didn't stop with you. After you left, another man slipped into her bed. Thomas Culpeper, a favorite of the king. Maybe it was love. Maybe it was pressure. Maybe she couldn't say no. But the line between innocent and treasonous blurred the second she married Henry. Because for queens, especially young ones, your body was the property of the crown. If you'd slept with someone before your marriage and kept it secret, that was dangerous. If you slept with someone after your marriage, that was treason. And treason meant death. You re-entered Catherine's life after she became queen. Some say she invited you. Others say you forced your way in. Maybe you thought you still had a claim on her. Maybe you hoped she'd reward your loyalty. Or maybe you just wanted to be close to her again, the girl you once called your wife. Either way, you were given a position in the queen's household. It didn't last long, because in late 1541, a quiet complaint reached the ears of Archbishop Cranmer, one of the most powerful religious voices in Henry's court. A former friend of Catherine's mentioned her past, specifically you. Cranmer launched a secret investigation. Servants were questioned. Old friends were interrogated. And slowly, the truth unraveled. They found out everything. You were arrested. So was Culpeper. So was Catherine. And then the real nightmare began. You were taken to the tower, shackled, isolated, interrogated. You were tortured, not with whips or knives, but with something worse. The knowledge that every word you spoke could destroy someone else. Catherine denied it at first. Then, she broke. She admitted to her past with you, but insisted she had not betrayed the king after marriage. She said you had seduced her, that she had been young and foolish. You told a different story. You said she had promised herself to you, that you had been as good as married, that your relationship wasn't seduction, it was consensual love. 2 stories. 1 king. No mercy. King Henry VIII was shattered. He had called Catherine his rose without a thorn. He had showered her with gifts. He believed she would give him the son he craved. And now he believed she had betrayed him. With you. With another. with everyone. He became enraged, violent, paranoid, and the verdict was swift. You would be executed. Not just executed, destroyed. Not because you were dangerous, but because you made the king look like a fool. You wake up every day in the Tower of London thinking, maybe they'll spare me. They won't. There are no more questions. No more appeals. Your story is written, and the ending will be ugly. You know how it goes. You've heard the stories. First, they'll hang you by the neck. Not to kill you, just until your body goes limp. Then, they'll cut you down alive. And while your chest is still rising, your heart still pounding in panic, they'll pull out a knife and slice your stomach wide open. They'll disembowel you, 1 inch at a time, burn your intestines before your eyes. Then they'll cut out your heart, then your head, and finally, your body will be hacked into 4 parts and sent to the corners of the kingdom as a warning. And all of it, every second of it, is because of a girl you once loved and a king you never even touched. November 1541. They take you from your cell. You're dressed in rags. Filthy. You haven't seen your own reflection in months. You're marched through the freezing London streets, bound and beaten, toward Tyburn, the place where traitors die. The crowd is massive. They want blood. And not just yours. Thomas Culpeper is with you, another man accused of touching the Queen. But here's the difference. He was a nobleman, well-liked, connected. You're not. He gets beheading, quick, clean. You get everything else. They tie you to a wooden frame, your arms bound behind you. They haul you up by the neck. The rope burns your throat. Your lungs scream for air. You almost pass out. And then, they cut you down. You crumple to the ground, gasping, retching, broken, but alive. The executioner steps forward, knife in hand, and he begins to open you. You feel the first cut, a white-hot line across your belly. You want to scream, but nothing comes out. You're drowning in your own blood. You can feel your organs moving inside you as they're pulled loose, one after the other. You can smell yourself burning. They pull out your heart. They hold it up. And then nothing. They say people fainted, that even the crowd went quiet as your remains were chopped apart and carted away. For pieces, for directions. Gone. No grave. No marker. Just a name, erased from the record of the living. Francis Dereham. But your death wasn't the end of it. Because the Queen, Catherine Howard, was still alive. She had confessed. She had begged for mercy. She had been stripped of her title and locked in her rooms. But Henry wasn't finished. He had already killed wives before. One for adultery. One for treason. He could do it again. And this time, he wanted her to feel it. For weeks, she was forced to live in fear. She saw what happened to you. She heard about the execution, about how you died screaming. That was part of the punishment, letting her imagination do the torture. On February 13th, 1542, she was taken to the Tower Green. She was just 19 years old. They say she asked for the execution block the night before, so she could practice placing her head on it. That she tried to die with dignity. That her last words were a prayer for forgiveness. The axe fell, and just like that, 2 lives were wiped out by a secret shared in the dark. But here's what makes your story unforgettable. You didn't commit treason. You didn't plot against the king. You didn't raise a sword, rally men, or speak against the throne. All you did was fall in love. Too early. With the wrong girl. In the wrong century. You were punished not for who you were, but for what you reminded Henry of. That he wasn't always in control. That once, before the crown, before the ceremonies, before the lies, Catherine Howard was someone else. A girl with a past. And that past had a name on it. Today, your story is mostly forgotten. Overshadowed by queens and kings, politics and wars. But it still sits in the shadows of Tudor history. A reminder of what fear, shame, and royal pride can do. Because sometimes the most dangerous thing in the world is a memory the king doesn't want you to have.